The People's Champ, the greatest lightweight of all time, the hardest hit in the lightweight division, and the greatest grappler. Yes, we are speaking about Charles Oliveira, the beast of a man. His most recent fight against Dustin Poirier was one of the most anticipated fights in the UFC for the 2022 season. He sure knows how to bring the noise. Even though what preceded the fight was not a pleasant situation, when he weighed in half a pound heavier than the limitation, he didn't fail to do what he promised, and he performed as a true champion. Even though this fight does not enter the top 5 picks that we have from him, it's worth mentioning as a great performance. Charles Oliveira is set to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov's prodigy Islam Makhachev at UFC 280 for the lightweight title. And as always, we are sure that he will bring his best performance and arrange a great show for the UFC fans and followers all around the world. As a tribute to his exceptional career and unquestionable skill, we choose 5 of his best performances throughout his UFC career. The guillotine choke on Guida at the UFC 225. If you follow UFC events, you know that Guida is a serious lightweight fighter that knows to surprise with some exceptional performance every now and then. He is a former Strikeforce champion and one of the toughest grapplers in the division. All this did not mean to scare Charles Oliveira off when he was about to face him back at the UFC 255. Furthermore, this is the fight that started Charles Oliveira's 11-win streak. The fight started off and both fighters were cautious and were anticipating immediate action. However, as the clock was ticking, the fight got more and more aggressive. It reached a culmination in the 3rd minute of the first round when Oliveira over-grappled Clay and delivered a guillotine choke, finishing the fight and taking the win by submission. The guillotine choke on Kevin Lee at the UFC Fight Night 170. It was a similar situation as the one in which Charles was put in his most recent appearance. But then instead of him being the one that misses weight, Kevin Lee missed by 3 whole pounds. Something that adds to the badass of Charles at this event is the fact that this is the first lightweight bout after a series of fights in the featherweight division. So imagine coming from a lighter division to a heavier one, and in addition to that, having your opponent missing weight and showing up technically a welterweight. The fight took place in Ginásio Nilson Nelson in Brasília, Brazil. It is among the first fights that were held without an audience. The bout was not an easy one for Charles as he was being dominated most of the time while on his feet. However, the situation changed as both fighters went on the canvas. Oliveira used his special grappling skills and made the 3-pound heavier Kevin Lee tap.
Here, he's gonna Oliveira forces this.
Wisey rarely seen submission, calf slicer at the UFC on Fox 2 in 2012. This fight is in Charles Oliveira's top 3 finishes because he was able to do something that is very rarely seen in MMA, the calf slicer submission. Charles Oliveira is strong on his feet, however, his edge is in the ground fighting. As such, he approached this fight with intention to take it to the ground as soon as possible. He used the opportunity to counter a leg kick by Eric and took him to the ground. In the whirlwind of happenings on the ground, Charles Oliveira got a grasp of Eric's foot. Rotating to the left and right, it was fairly difficult to see what is happening, and somehow, in the end, Oliveira, having a hold of Eric's leg, performed the rarely seen calf slicer submission. Average UFC fans do not even know what a calf slicer lock is. However, I tell you, you can guess that it is something that is difficult and complicated to perform and painful for anyone that gets caught in it. Rear-naked choke win over Dustin Poirier at the UFC 269. Dustin Poirier is a serious UFC player. He is a former interim UFC lightweight champion, the number 2 ranked lightweight fighter, and he is the 7th ranked pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC promotion. As such, you'd guess that he'd be a tough nut to crack for Charles. However, this was not the case. To everyone's surprise, Charles performed brilliantly and put Poirier in his shadow. Charles Oliveira was a massive underdog coming into the fight. Poirier was the betting favorite. However, during the first round, people started realizing that this might not go as initially thought. Both fighters started landing big shots, and we knew that this fight was going to be a great watching experience. During the second round, we could see Charles dominating and pushing Poirier to the limits, and in the third round, it all came to an end. Poirier was evidently tired from the exhausting 2 rounds, and his concentration as well as strength fell. Charles used the opportunity, mounted Poirier's back, and finished him with a good old rear naked choke. Oliveira TKO'd Michael Chandler at the UFC 262, obtaining his first title. Here's a fun fact about Charles Oliveira. He officially fought more fights to win a title shot than any other fighter in UFC history. This speaks about his persistence, his determination, and focus. Oliveira is a beautiful example of how you should focus on goals and not obstacles. Round 1 started aggressively with Charles Oliveira taking down Chandler. This caught Chandler by surprise. Even though it looked like that would be the end of it, Chandler proves once more why he is one of the best fighters in the division. He managed to maneuver out of the strong chokehold and delivered several strong strikes to Oliveira's face. Charles Oliveira decided that he will not let this opportunity to hold a title slip out of his hands. He straightened up in round 2 and took the matter more seriously. He sensed that it will be difficult to submit Chandler, so he decided to go for Plan B. He charged Chandler and started punching him with a beautiful combination of strikes. He pushed him to the fence of the octagon and did not plan to stop. As Chandler received many unblocked hits, the referee was forced to stop the fight, announcing Charles Oliveira as the new UFC lightweight champion of the world. If you enjoyed this, make sure to let us know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.